Hey folks, again, we are at Gateway Classic Cars in Tampa, Florida, and today again we are with Harry. Harry, tell us a little bit about who you are and who you are with Gateway, and then introduce us to this beautiful car behind you.
All right, no problem, Rob. I'm Harry Williams. I'm the manager here at Gateway Classic Cars and also lead sales. And pretty much we sell classic cars. They're all on consignment. People bring them in on a 3-month contract. We do our best to sell them. We sell majority of our cars out of state and overseas. And we just do our best to try to help spread the classic enthusiasm and love to everybody and make sure there's a car for every price and personality. And we do our best to just get them out there in the market to keep the old car hobby alive.
Oh, and speaking of keeping it alive, a little bit of your background. Share a little bit of that with us. You had told me that you had wanted to, life got in the way, but you had initially thought you wanted to be a car designer.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, not even thought. Most of my, from about probably 9, 10, all the way up to about when I came in the military, I was supposed to be a car designer. I'm a big car design fanatic. That's what initially attracted me to automobiles, boats, airplanes, everything. It's all about industrial design with me, but especially I love cars because cars have a nice artistic sense to it that most everything else does not have. And there's a lot of emotion, passion, and a sense of motion in cars. They seem like they're alive, and a lot of that's because of the designers behind it. And it's also a good reflection of their eras and their times, you know.
Well, or something as we have here that is, I think, timeless.
Yes, Lincolns definitely fall in that category. The people throw that word around a lot, but there's very few cars that actually hold up in that regard, and Lincolns of this era definitely hold into that. You can date them sometimes, but they don't necessarily look out of date.
Right. You can look at this and you know it's the 60s. You can't necessarily exactly, unless you're a big Lincoln aficionado, tell me exactly what year it is. But now this one is the 65?
This is a 67
67
Lincoln Continental Coupe. And that's especially unique because they didn't make a lot of these. They didn't sell very well, but they brought the coupe out to compete with the Cadillac Coupe de Ville because Cadillac was kind of eating Lincoln's lunch through the 60s, even though Lincoln had a very elegant, pretty car and a more classy car in a way. But people was liking the Cadillacs. They had I guess you could say they had more of their thumb on the pulse of what people were looking for.
Right.
But Lincoln decided they was going to try to spread out their market appeal, and they decided to bring a coupe back in I think it was 66.
Okay.
And 67 and up was when they came out. But this is a 67 model right here.
Okay, and this is part of the 4th generation of the Continental.
Yes.
So folks who maybe are Continental aficionados or maybe aren't will kind of see some of the design elements and slab-sidedness of this car that harkens back to the Kennedy Lincoln, the presidential Lincoln, and unfortunately the assassination Lincoln, but that's also that 4th generation. Now, what we're going to do in this video, we're going to talk about some of the cool design elements again, and that's why I wanted to put that in there about Harry wanting to, or actually pursuing a career in car design.
Yeah.
But you were telling me about some of the cool features. Why don't you show some of those things?
Here's one thing that guys who are fan of these will know about this. And if you've got a good eye, you'll notice it, but it doesn't hit you till you really stop and look at it. This is a Continental, and anyone who knows cars knows that the original Lincoln Continental established or kind of put it in concrete what a Continental Coupe is. And the rule about Continental Coupes is long hood, short deck. And American cars are some of the best at doing that. But if you look at this car, there's a little styling feature that you'll start noticing when you look. The greenhouse is almost perfectly in the middle of the car. It literally throws the traditional Continental rule out into the water. The greenhouse is literally dead in the middle of the car. The hood and the trunk are almost the same size.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You told me you weren't going to tell me that until we got on camera, and I see that now.
And once it's called out, you can't not, but it doesn't mess the proportions up.
No.
Because that's one of the best things one of the most unique things about a good coupe is the short deck, long hood.
Right.
But they actually cracked the code, and they got a nice central located greenhouse with equal length hood and trunk, and it doesn't ruin the lines of the car. It doesn't lose that dynamicism of it. It doesn't lose that sense of motion or the grandness of it of looking like you got a big, powerful hood with a nice tight rear. It just has that right proportions. They even still managed to put the C-pillar coming in for that strength right over the rear wheel, but you still have a same equal length trunk and it doesn't ruin it. Again, one of the good examples of really good design. That's how when you didn't have federal rules and stuff kicking in, you had these guys, they took this stuff serious. It was like designing a suit, you know?
Well, you and I had talked about it too off camera, that you look at the mid-50s and then, of course, the late 50s, the generation before this was just absolutely awful, would be a generous way of saying it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lincoln, they hit the ugly tree, every branch on the way down in the late 50s. It's sad to say it, but yeah, they kind of went off on that time.
So imagine Bill Engel, is that the designer?
I think it was Bill Engel was one of them.
So imagine saying, the high-ups at Ford and Lincoln coming to you and saying, hey, we need a new car for the 60s. It's a new generation. It's a new feeling in America. We were just coming off a recession. We are the baby boomers, all this stuff. But we need class. We need elegance that befits America. And with all the add-ons of the 50s and chrome and doodads all over the car, I can't imagine what the first reaction must have been when he presented his first drawing of this style, but the Kennedy suicide door Lincoln as well.
It probably was like, how do people know what they paid for if there's no chrome in the
Well, and saying that too, you pointed this out, and I looked around the car, and sure enough, nowhere on this car, except for the emblems, does it say Lincoln. It does say Continental on the rear quarter panel, but nowhere else does it say Lincoln.
It's like a designer's piece, you know? Just enough to let you know it's a Continental, and that's it, you know.
Well, just like in the late 50s, it was almost like I said, someone left the drawing out on the piece on a table, and somebody, every time someone walked by, they added one more thing to it. It's almost like he finished and then locked it away, but maybe wasn't finished because it's so restrained in its. You look at it, and you told me this earlier. You look at it and you think it isn't designed because it's kind of plain, but you don't realize some of the cool details that are in plain sight. And you just mentioned that one. But tell me about, you were talking about this on the, it was very well exemplified on the suicide door convertible, but the cove between and how they made the slab-sidedness, the trim piece, all that.
So a big thing that they really was trying to make sure they appealed to was, especially on the redesign, they didn't want to lose that classic blade sharpness that came along on the 61, 60, the early first gen, the Kennedy Lincolns.
Yep.
So they really made sure to keep this cove here, because that's how they got that separation, so that as you go down the side, there's that distinct character line of the blade running all the way down the car. And it's unending from the right above the bumper all the way back to the rear bumper. But in order to get that and make sure that character line is right, they had to put this space here. You know, they went out of their way, because a lot of cars, you just push the tumble hole on the windows out to here. But then you might lose that. But they kept that so that that character line is right there.
Or you curve the door up into that belt line. And then also, I'm sure it was probably a vestige of the 50s. By doing that, they also kind of kept a little bit of a tail fin. Extremely restrained, but they did keep a little bit.
Cars, to me, they're like good suits, man. That suit.
There you go.
Always comes to me when you look at a 60 suit. It's clean, and it's kind of come back now, except for the high water aspect.
Right.
When you look at suits now, they're really clean and crisp. They're not heavy. They don't have butterfly collars like in the 70s. They don't have double-breastedness. They're just super clean, simple, angular, sharp. And the cars of that era, especially the luxury cars, they really bring that look out too. Everything is crisp, sharp, not a lot of wasted lines.
I like that analogy. I would say this is definitely an Armani of the 60s. This is it, because it is clean, classic, simply designed, yet elegant.
Yep. The presence is what shows you its value. Also, I think when they was going to the Kennedy Lincolns and this whole styling language for the Continentals, I think subconsciously they also was getting away from the planned obsolescence look. Like, every year doesn't mean that car is old. You've got money. It's like going after more of the old money look. Because you look at Mercedes, Rolls Royce's cars of that era. American cars might have came off a little new money and cheap, because every year it looked new. Every year it was changing up. Whereas this car has that look like, we're looking for the guys who are well established, the guys who, it's about the quality, not just showing off.
It was about the quality, and that was why, because, well, old money will buy something and keep it for many, many years.
If and you don't want it to look old.
If it's a quality piece, right, and they still want it to look timely. And I think that's what they got when they designed this car.
And like
Wow.
we discussed, it's actually harder to make something last longer with its appearance and its appeal than it is to just constantly change it up for whatever the fad is.
Okay, I'm going to do my best, and I'm failing at it because this car is so shiny. I'm trying to stay out of the reflection, but oh well. Hey, you're going to do it too, so come on through. I just wanted to get a different angle because, you know, I always hear it. It's thrown around a lot by people who do videos and photography. There's not a bad angle on that car. I don't want to use that cheaply, but my gosh, there's not a bad angle.
No, the car.
on
This car is a very good all around. And the proportions always look right. Some cars have really great proportions, 3/4 or dead from the side or from the rear. And then you start walking around and it gets goofy for a second. Boat tail Riviera is a perfect example.
Oh,
I love boat tail Rivieras. But if you get them at a funny rear 3/4 view, it looks very ill proportioned.
You know, they always deride the back end of the boat tail Rivy, but what I hate is the front.
Really?
Oh, I don't
Wait,
like
that's too plain to you? Or?
Yes, it's just like, okay, halfway through the design, somebody said, oh, it's supposed to be Riviera. We need to throw some cool stuff on it. Okay, we'll make boat tail. But they forgot to go back to the front. The front looks very 70s GM.
Yeah, it almost looks standard Buick front end. You know, they just threw the little Riviera script, the R script on the front grille, and
even that's not as nice as it used to be. So back in the 60s when it first came out. Oh, what
funny
are some
bit
of
of trivia? Oh, well.
So yeah, no, that's fine. Some of you pointed out a few minutes ago too, and I hope you can pick this up in the camera. But this design line down the side,
character
as
line
well.
right here.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know now, if you know anything about engineering and industrial design, that's a strengthening line, but it also catches light. So it also reinforces this blade up here, but it's running down through the body almost as an accent character line.
Wow. And I did notice too, because I thought 67 new seat belts came into effect, but I thought side markers did too. And if you guys, any of you guys know exactly what year mandatory was side markers and stuff like that, leave a comment down below. But I did notice there's no turning light or side markers on the front or rear quarter panel for this car. So maybe it came about 68, 69, I'm not sure. But it's so clean. That is unbelievably clean.
It looks custom. When you see it, if you're not thinking about it, if you're used to newer cars, you're like, oh, somebody must have filled in the marker lights. No, that's how it was.
That's right. And the grille, you know, it wasn't that electric shaver front end that came out in 60, 61 with the Kennedy Lincolns, but I think they did a good job with this. And you could see they were getting to the point of beginning to do what they later did in the 70s on the Continental, the 4-doors and stuff like that. They put the big Rolls-Royce looking big giant chrome grille. But I think that's well done. Yeah,
I think they tried to resim, because remember we was talking about the other one, how it kind of got heavy looking and a little, not gaudy, but it just kind of got Baroque-ish. And then they look like on this generation, they tried to simplify it back again.
Yep. Again, they went with a clean, simple look instead of overly complicating the front end.
Another thing I like too is notice the marker lights and the turn signal lights. They're not amber. So it almost blends into the chrome better. It doesn't attract attention. That doesn't need to be. Who wants to look at a turn signal? They just left it white.
It only needs to be seen when it's
being used.
Yeah. And I've just now noticed, really, and I can really see it out here in the light. Let me see if make sure. But you notice the front fenders actually come out as a blade in front of the lights and equal to, looks like the point of the front of the bumper. So that's a really cool design element too. There's so much to this.
Yeah, there's nothing on accident. And it's cool with the Lincoln, especially Continentals, because this generation, they're so elegant that it's easy to think, oh, they just took a big standard 3-box design and put a crease along the top and let it ride. But there's a lot of thought that went into this.
Yeah, go back and, folks, if you really want to be challenged by that, go back and look at the mid-60s cars, both from Ford, GM, Olds, all these guys, all the car lines, Chryslers, and they weren't this clean. Later, though, about mid-60s, you started seeing like the New Yorker and the Newport. They were slab-sided. They were mimicking the chrome along the top of the fender line and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
I definitely
funny.
think that they were copying.
They were definitely aping what Ford had obviously been very successful with already. Let's take a look at the inside.
All right.
And I'm going to hop in on the other side, because I made an observation earlier, and this really kind of goes to what this car was about. It's personal. It's a personal luxury car. This would have been it's a very it may not be politically correct nowadays, but it's a very male oriented car.
Masculine car.
It's very masculine. And what I say about that is you see the formal looks, the upright, the strength in it and look. And that's just what it was in the 60s. And that's why this was a personal luxury coupe that probably only ever got 90% of the time the driver. None of the other seats were used, except maybe you would take your better half out to dinner or to the club on the weekends, and they would sit in the right side over here. But what I thought was really funny about it earlier, I sat inside, and I'm looking at this awesome dash. And to tell you who is in charge of this vehicle, you can see from the dash, and as a passenger, you get a clock.
Yep, you don't get anything.
And what were you saying? Don't touch my radio.
Yeah, keep your hand over there. Yeah, you deserve a chop on the arm if you even dare reach over here.
You get a glove box, and you get the clock. But
I don't even know. Is there a vanity in the sun visor?
oh, let's see.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's about it.
you do get a mirror.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. You get a mirror there. All right, but man, what a gorgeous car. And I noticed that there's the interior light down there instead of up on the roof. Or is there one? There's not even one in the center.
There's ones in the back quarters.
But there are the back quarters.
So it's more of an ambient light.
But again, I think that really focused on the coupe design of it and the personal luxury car feeling of it all.
The cool thing about these Lincolns too, and we talked about this earlier as well, Rob, everything on Lincolns, well, when you order the option power windows in the 60s, it was all vacuum operated. And for those who don't know, I can't show you on this car, unfortunately, they're having old car issues, but vacuum operated windows, you don't get any whirring of the electric motors or anything. The window simply disappears into the door and comes back up silently, you know. And it does add a touch of extra luxury. It feels more sophisticated.
Luxury in the car world has always been defined by quietness.
Yes.
Look at Rolls-Royce. I mean, they talk about the decibel level at speed and what it is, and everything is so quiet, whisper quiet, and you name it. But what I really like too, though, Harry, is that the little vent window, the smoker's window, as we would know it, as well. You couldn't be bothered to reach up and turn the latch. You actually had, yeah, there you go. You actually had a power deal for that as well, because that's luxury, not having to reach up and turn a latch.
hey, look how close it is. You literally... nope.
Exactly. I'm actually kind of thinking it might have been a little harder to reach down to the arm.
It's more effort to actually adjust your mirror than it is to open a quarter window.
Because, you know, I mean, tell me you can't see Mad Men, John Hamm, riding in this car. And, you know, he's got a cigar. Heck, he's probably got a snifter of brandy or some scotch in his lap there as he's driving along too. But that's just how it was. That's it. These cars are absolutely beautiful. Now this one is on consignment with you guys, because Gateway, you don't own the cars that you sell. You take them in and help people market their vehicles and sell them. But yeah, this one is currently available, and it's absolutely stunning. Anything else you wanted to show me on this car that stands out to you?
Let's pop the hood on it.
Oh yeah, let's take. I'm sorry, I'm so just blown away by the rest of the car. Look at that interior, folks.
And it's got the traditional clamshell like Lincoln has always been known for. And another unique thing, this is a big car. These weigh about 4,800 pounds.
Really?
And that's probably the lower end of it.
Wow.
And this is all unibody. Here's another cool thing about this car,
that's
which
right.
I'm sure your body man would love if you wreck it or hate. There's no seams here.
Yeah, look at that.
So don't hit this up against a quarter. Don't smash this. This is all, that fender is blended in with the body. I'm sure under this trim there may be a piece for this way to come. But if you hit up here, this is all one piece.
That whole front is almost like a whole front clip.
Yep.
Holy cow.
And this here is the power plant, because that's literally what it is. It's of the MEL family, Mercury, Edsel, and Lincoln. But it's a big block, 462 cubic inches, 340 horsepower, 490 foot-pounds of torque. Known for being the heaviest V8 ever built.
Wow.
Came in at 735 pounds. The only engine that was as close to that was the old Elephant, the drag racing, you know, the famous, infamous 426 Hemi.
Yeah.
Apparently this is 10 pounds heavier. But
oh my gosh.
This engine is set up to run hydraulics and all the vacuum accessories. And remember, the convertibles, everything was hydraulic.
Yep.
So they actually had a special gearing that was on the crank to run all the hydraulics on this engine. But these motors are big reliable. They came out in '58 originally. Big, heavy duty, solid, literal power plant of engines that just made to last. The record is, most people say they don't really give you any problems. As long as it's got gas and oil and you do basic maintenance, they'll run forever. And it can move this car with plenty of authority. It has no problem getting this down. This is probably one of the few cars of that era that can easily keep up with modern traffic and not stress. You know.
Well, all that torque
to
move this 4,700 pounds. Yeah, it's a torque monster. And again, the reliability comes from the fact that if it was produced in the late 50s, it was designed in the early to mid 50s. And that's when we were making things
everything was overbuilt.
Last, and everything was over-engineered and overbuilt. It's really, really awesome.
And they probably smartly let the torque do the accelerate talking versus putting in short gears. So you can actually cruise at 80 and the motor's just loafing along. It's not stressed and wound up like your Corvette or Camaro might be. It's fast, but it's going to blow itself up if you keep running that fast.
And a lot of the cars nowadays, you know, they're designed to run at revs. And it's like, yeah, that's nice, but they're not going to be around too much over 100,000 miles probably because of that. Wow. That's a stunning car.
Yeah, it has great presence too. Like just a lot of, it just looks like an occasion.
Very well put. I agree with that, because anywhere you go in this car, if you're looking to be noticed, I don't think you can do any better. Look at that. That is an absolutely stunning car. Wow. Well, Harry, get you back on camera here. Come back over around here. Thank you again. I appreciate the hospitality. Whenever I come over and talk to Harry, it's supposed to be a 45-minute shoot. It's usually a couple hours because he and I are walking through what they've got in the building, and we're geeking out over the design. And I love talking to him because he's so knowledgeable about design, about cars, you name it. He knows it. And
I try.
Well, and you know, like I always tell people, what you don't know, make it up. No, I think he's a reliable guy, and you know what? I mean, call him and talk to him. And this is the Gateway Classic Cars in Tampa. And if you're looking for something that is pure presence, we got it right here.
Yeah, it's hard to beat this. And we have its sister sitting in here. Same owner, by the way. We actually have a four-door convertible in here, a 65 that's in there as well. On the showroom floor.
Yeah, that's amazing. Harry, thank you so much. I appreciate your time again.
Yep, no problem. I love doing it, Rob. Come by next time.
Awesome. Thanks for watching.